any time that money is printed, when the supply of the US dollar, for example, expands, what's actually happening is that everyone that holds that currency is being diluted just a little bit. And eventually that leads to a loss in purchasing power, like we're seeing right now in a lot of different commodities: lumber, aluminum, copper, plastics, computer chips. All of these things have gone up in price over the last year, in large part because the federal government or the Federal Reserve has expanded the money supply from something around 15.5 trillion to 19.5 trillion. And that's starting to come into the marketplace. So in essence, what's happening is that the Federal Reserve is able to print money by diluting the current holders of that money. And it's not just people in the US that are holders. It's not people, US citizens or US companies that hold the dollar. It's a lot of other people too, including other central banks, of course, who hold the dollar as a reserve currency, but also, normal people in other countries. And in fact, in some of the poorest countries in the world, they hold the US dollar as their method of savings because their currency is even worse. So places like Venezuela and Zimbabwe, for example, definitely love the US dollar and they hold it. People in North Korea even use the US dollar for black market trade because that holds its value. So in essence, every time the money is expanded, money is being stolen from these people. And and we're all complicit in this. It's not just the federal government that's deficit spending like crazy, or, state governments that are deficit spending. It's also corporations that are taking out these giant loans. Those loans come into existence for the purpose of these businesses. And even when we take out our mortgages, we are essentially the bank is creating money on our behalf, thus diluting the supply of money all over the world just by a tiny bit. So every time we're taking out loans, we're essentially stealing from some of the poorest and most vulnerable people on the planet.